guys, let's talk about the ACC. We're going to talk about a couple of outcomes here. I watched Cade Klubnik as a freshman quarterback in the Orange Bowl. I watched him play against Tennessee, was there in person, Joe Milton, Bazooka Joe, Squirrel White, Tennessee football. They beat Clemson pretty good. And Cade Klubnik was the freshman quarterback. And I sat there, I said to my dad, who I was at the game with, I said, he's a 5-star. And he's from Lake Travis, and he's won a bunch of titles, and he has a chance to figure it out, but he's younger. But there that night, against Tennessee, he was bottled up and frankly just looked overwhelmed and didn't play well. Now you fast forward, 3 years, it's the same story with Klubnik. And the thing is that he is a 5-star quarterback. There have been a couple of examples of players that I think have okay talent. Like you're talking about Stetson Bennett. Brady White was somebody who, when he went to Memphis, absolutely it clicked. There's some quarterbacks that when they stay in college football, maybe it's Will Howard. There's some quarterbacks that when they stay in college football, eventually in year 4, it absolutely just pops, and they really, a light switch goes on, and they're just different levels. Bo Nix is that kind of quarterback, right? Even Rattler a little bit. Gosh, there's some examples, but then there's guys that it never gets better. And I felt like DJU last year at Oregon State, I thought it would click. It's so interesting. What quarterbacks are going to click? What quarterbacks are going to shine? What quarterbacks are going to become faster, a little bit stronger? What quarterbacks that when they're seniors, it's wow. Jaden Daniels is that example. Very inaccurate as a thrower of the ball, had some speed, but at Arizona State wasn't very good. And then at LSU was very up and down his junior year. Senior year, it's a different story. He's a different guy. He's throwing confidently. He's throwing the ball deep. Bam. What an absolute jump. And Cade Klubnik is not making that jump. And Cade Klubnik, his natural skills, his upside is not even as profound as Jaden, as Bo Nix. Even DJU has a really high upside. DJU 6'5" can run, really strong, and has a stronger arm than Klubnik. Klubnik doesn't really have a strong arm, misses routine throws a lot. The ceiling is not getting matched, and if the ceiling physically does not get matched mentally, I'm thinking that Lincoln Riley's brother, Garrett, who basically, again, Max Duggan is that guy, right? Max Duggan in a quarterback battle with Chandler Morris. Max Duggan, young freshman quarterback from Iowa, went to Fort Worth, and by the time he's a senior, he's a stud. He's a baller as a senior. It's not working for Cade Klubnik. And it's confusing, and maybe the rest of the year it's somehow gonna click, but very unconfident. The receivers are not there. When who did Lawrence have to throw the ball to? I mean, well, Deshaun Watson had some receivers that were really good. I think Leggett, the tight end, Renfro, who even played in the league, was very hard to cover. Deshaun Watson had talented options to throw the ball to. Clemson, I don't see the massive, unbelievable 5-star talents. I think the talents that are at Auburn, or a Cam Coleman or Jeremiah Smith, or there's some wide receivers out there in college football. And Clemson just doesn't have it. And if Clemson just used the portal, if they used it a tiny bit, they would be so good, because their foundation, their D-line is right there. Their D-line is good. Their secondary, A.J. Terrell's brother, I saw him making some plays in the secondary. Wes Goodwin's kind of coming into his own. Wes Goodwin is kind of a savant a little bit out there as a defensive coordinator. I still think the coordinators are there. You're just missing that quarterback. Look at Cam Ward. He's making Miami football go. you need a quarterback, and you need to portal in a couple of weapons. So you need like 5 transfers. You don't even need like many. And I mean, Cade Klubnik, what has this Clemson team done to not deserve the right to have a couple of transfers? And plus, you have all offseason to vet, the transfers that are coming in. So I understand the fear of taking in somebody from outside of your program, especially if you in your program are very rigid on rules and how you run your program. I can understand the trepidation to have somebody enter into your group. It's just like entering into a friend group or loyalty. I respect a sentiment for sure. I personally respect how Dabo Swinney wants to keep the commitment he makes to the players that commit to Clemson and not take outsiders. But the problem is that you should look at some position groups that have been there a couple of years, especially like quarterback and wide receiver, and say, okay, we're not good enough at the position, and you guys haven't been winning these games at these positions. So the gap now between the SEC and the ACC is becoming quite large. Maybe Miami's that one ACC team with an excellent quarterback that can compete in an SEC format, maybe for this year. But Florida State looks like a flash-in-the-pan program. And, for Dabo Swinney, is he a brilliant play caller? He's an all right play caller. But he gets guys, again, he's organized pretty much on defense. He's pretty bold offensively. I like the staff hires. I think Matt Luke is a really good hire. I like Riley. Again, Wes Goodwin has really good potential. So I think that the hiring is getting there. I'm really enjoying, the upgrades that they've made. But again, you're not changing, Cade Klubnik. You're not changing wide receiver. I think it's pretty simple. I think Maffa, the running back, I think that they're close. Really are. They're a couple of pieces away from being if they had a really good quarterback in that game and, first half goes differently, I think that they could have even been winning at the half, or it could have been, I'm not saying that they would have beat Georgia, but it would have been the game would have been, let's give it 38-20. 38-21, and then Clemson, I think, would maybe lose to Miami. They would go 10-2. But they would be very, very close. And then if they portaled in, again, if they were a if you gave this Clemson team Jordan Travis, Keon Coleman, and Johnny Wilson with some of the freshman wide receivers, if you put Jordan Travis in that game at quarterback with Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman was on the edge against the Georgia defense, that game would be I would say a very close game in the fourth quarter. That's how good Florida State was last year. But now they're losing an elite quarterback in Jordan Travis, replacing it with a decent quarterback, and the weapons are not even close to Keon Coleman, who was unbelievable. So, and Malik Benson, a running back. So that just shows you kind of that football it's not becoming overly complicated. Do you have a quarterback? Do you have wide receivers, because, and then do you have, I guess, defense? Do you have toughness? All of those things. And Clemson, again, they are close. I don't think you should, consider getting rid of Dabo at all, at least for maybe another half decade. I don't think so. If you go to 7 wins, Dabo's probably going to, he's going to quit within 5 years, 10 years. I think it should be a decade until you get rid of Dabo. He brought you national championships. It's a little bit frustrating, though, that you keep rolling out Klubnik, because mentally and the way he's seeing the game, they should see him practice, okay, it's not getting better in practice. The staff should see that. All right, you know what? It's not, again, he's just not seeing it. It's not clicking. Miller Moss is somebody who, talent-wise, tangibly, what are the tangibles of Miller Moss? Similar to a Cade Klubnik. Can't really move all that quickly. His arm strength is kind of mediocre. But he's seeing the game, and they're playing a style around him, but maybe if you put Miller Moss on Clemson, it would be the same problems. But USC, again, they portal in. They get really good talent on the outside, wide receiver wise. So it's kind of a give or take there. So again, that's kind of Clemson. That's the ACC in a whole is down. Virginia Tech, bad offensive coordinating, stupid, hate the 2-quarterback system, really do, because then you can't get Kyron Drones into a rhythm. Defense is leaky, just not up to that elite standard. Duke looks kind of messy. North Carolina's offense is really going to struggle. And they don't really have quarterback play. They don't have good play. Pittsburgh kind of, undergoing a whole-scale change, really talented offensive coordinator, but is it going to, again, are you going to play complementary enough? I mean, I don't think that Narduzzi is used to this kind of tempo. So Syracuse actually looking like a team that could do some work. NC State's going to have a test for sure. NC State. Again, that Tennessee game's one of my bets of the week, Tennessee. So that's kind of the ACC, guys, as we look at it.